Thank you very much for everybody coming here. I actually am going to talk about residential financing. Our company believes that the single largest impediment to the widespread adoption of solar energy across this country is the absolute lack of bank financing. I think everybody understands that energy costs are rising. We have the correct kind of incentive environment in place here today. I think everybody's clear about that. Maybe not everybody's going to agree with me here, but I think that the solar tipping point is stalled. If we look across this landscape and we see we've got HELOC programs and PACE programs and leasing programs, and all of those things taken together have yet to address even 1% of the addressable market. So, what's wrong with this picture? We know that we've got big high upfront costs and these incentive payments can take a long time to come, but there's no way to bridge these issues today. So, because again, until now, there's been no consumer finance-to-own bank programs in North America until literally last week. So now we're going to see if this works here. Okay, this is really important, I think. What does the consumer want? Because it's not about the panel manufacturers and the integrators and the leasing companies. It's about what the consumer wants. You can talk to a consumer and they'll all say the same thing. Going green is great, lowering my carbon footprint is great, that's all wonderful. How much am I going to save on my electrical bill? Period, the end. That's what people want. It's the #1 driver in the purchase decision. They want to own their systems. This is being affixed to their primary residence. People don't, lease their air conditioning systems, and people don't lease their refrigerators or hot water heaters. They want to own their system. They want it to be monthly expense neutral. Okay, so they like to say, I want to buy the system, and I'd like to either pay what I'm already paying until I get it paid off, or ideally, it would be less than it. They want it to be simple, and there is nothing about financing solar today that is simple. Okay, whether it's the PACE, the HELOC, or the leasing, this is very, very difficult. And they want immediate approval. That's another thing that's very important, right there in the home. Okay. All of us today can walk out to any car dealer in San Antonio and apply for a loan for $40,000 for a new car and get an answer in less than 3 minutes. But we cannot do that with the solar system. And we have a superior demographic, which we'll come back to. We need reasonable interest rates because we're talking about, again, a quality demographic, a quality borrower, and they're not going to tolerate something that isn't reasonable and fair. And here's the key part from our point of view. Unsecured beyond the homeowner guarantee. If you rely on encumbering the underlying real estate, you are by definition introducing a layer of complexity that is simply not going to scale in any meaningful way. So let's just quickly do the math here, and I apologize for the complicated slide. There's only 3 things here down at the bottom we need to pay attention to, and this is a composite of electrical rates. We're operating in Phoenix, which is cheap power, I think, like what everybody has here. If you do nothing, if you have a 2,500 square foot, 3-bedroom house, you're going to spend about $70,000 on utilities, if you do nothing. If you lease a system, can everybody hear me okay if I don't stand over here? You're going to save about $26,000. I can't talk and not walk at the same time. And that's a very good thing. But if we finance it for you, we're going to save over half over the course of the 20-year period. And the average consumer looks at this and says, is this a trick question? So, what do banks need to loan? Well, banks need cash deposits. And we're going to talk about how the program that we put together will bring you new deposit relationships in the community that you're at. Banks want to have character. They need quality borrowers. Okay? And there's no shortage of those. There's just not a product for them. That's the problem. They have to have capacity to be able to borrow money. Everybody here who's a banker knows that a $1 million loan is a lot easier to administer and manage than $1,000, $10,000 loans. But we have to really look at our risk dispersion, and we've really factored this into the program that we have. And finding unique collateral. Bingo, Yahtzee, that's the problem. There's no collateral in residential. I don't think there's a banker in this room that wants to stand up and give us a technical description about the what solar components are involved in the asset class here. I don't think anybody really wants to do that, because it's a very poorly understood asset class. That's our number one problem. Number two, the moment that we attach this thing to the side of the homeowner's house, it becomes part of the house. So the Uniform Commercial Code is not going to help us here. We're not going to get a UCC1 filing on that system. Okay? And even if we did, I don't know what the market is for used solar panels. I learned today that there is actually a market for this, but I don't think anybody's going to look at this and say, we are not going to factor the assets, the hard physical assets, into the credit equation. And that is the main root cause of why banks aren't doing this. So we're going to talk to you how we solve this problem. Before we do that, I want to check the underwriting box for everybody here. Not every person will qualify for a PACE loan. Not every person will qualify for a lease agreement. Not everybody's going to qualify for our program either. Homeowners, 3 years in their residence, 2 years with the same employer, 690-point FICO scores or higher, no prior bankruptcy, no late mortgage payments in the last 24 years, last 2 years, and positive mortgage equity. John and Susie, solid citizen. That's what we want. And we want to loan money to these people. Okay, what are we doing? Well, we got a lot of bankers out here, and everybody's familiar with what a bank balance sheet looks like. You've got 1 to 1.25% loan loss reserve sitting there to back things up. And the reason for that is because we all know that bad things happen to good people. Okay, so something's going to go upside down. So in our program, what we say to you is, we will give you a 5x loss reserve. So if you do a $10 million a year in loans on our program, we'll put $500,000 cash money in your bank. Okay, and it is an FDIC controlled account, and we want a market rate coupon on our money, and will stay there as long as you're active in the program. And so if John and Susie, solid citizen, go upside down for you, you go to the loss reserve pool, you make yourself whole, you give us the paper back. Simple as that. It doesn't like me either.
You want me to run that?
No. Okay, let's talk about bank pricing and structure. Okay, again, loaning money to good credit risks at a nice coupon rate is a great business. Okay, so financing rates are always market driven. In Arizona today, we're between 8.5% and 9.5% to the consumer. There's an application fee for the bank, an origination fee for the bank. So your yield curve is approaching 9.5 to 10. So, and with our current cost of funds, all day people will do this. You get installer network accounts. The integrators, installers, opens an account in your branch because we are a financial network. We're a dealer network. And so you have a new deposit relationship with them, and you have an automatic opt-in business relationship with every one of the consumers that you finance. So we think that that's kind of the mother's milk of banking. And you agree to adhere to strict underwriting. Why? Because it's our money backstopping your loans. What do we want from you all? We want you to have at least a $10 million portfolio. We want a dedicated loan officer so that the integrators in the market have a single point of contact with the bank. We want 24-hour approval. We think that's baseline. We want 72-hour disbursement. What does that mean? That means that when the system is completed and the utility signs off and says it's there, you pay the integrator 72 hours. In branch point of sale, this is really important. We want banks that want to be in this space, that want to loan into this category, that have a branch network and that have deposit relationships, that want to send out statement stuffers and promote this program to their customers. And we want co-marketing participation in the market to let people understand there is now a real alternative for this.